The Unknown Rider. The stars are shining bright on Hollywood Boulevard today, where one of the largest events of the year is preparing to take place. The stars include the world's greatest musicians, painters, dancers, athletes, movie stars, television personalities, and more. Among the stars, dimly lit, is the Unknown Rider. He hasn't much of a name. He has no fans, and he has no fame. Though he has spent the last decade traveling the country up and down, east to west, attending various festivals like this in pursuit of those very things: a name, some fans, and a little bit of fame. To each of these festivals, he brings with him one of the many manuscripts he has put together over the years. Today, he has brought the manuscript of his novel, The Poetic Mind of Ebenezer Lieberman, which he wrote many years ago. He carries this manuscript, composed of 223 sheets of paper held together with an extra-large binder clip inside a beaten-up wooden crate. Along with the manuscript is a deconstructed microphone stand, a speaker, and a dozen or so copies of a collection of poems he published several years ago. At the entrance to this festival, he is assigned his booth for the day, number 43,222, and handed a map to help him find it. This booth is located nearly 3 miles away from the entrance, at the end of Hollywood Boulevard, in the back corner, right behind a telephone pole. It is an extremely narrow booth compared to those nearer to the entrance, just wide enough for the unknown rider to extend one arm at a time, but not both. A small note card is taped to the wall behind his booth, which provides the booth number and the name of the unknown rider. In the booth to his left, he sees an older man with an adorable dog, some sort of shepherd mix. In the booth to the unknown rider's right, he sees a woman with enormously large breasts, which are nearly hanging out of her shirt. "Good morning," he says to the older man. "Good morning," he says to the large-breasted woman, but neither acknowledge him in return, for both are frantically preparing their booths for the hundreds of thousands of people waiting beyond the gate, all of whom will soon be flooding Hollywood Boulevard in search of their favorite stars and maybe a few new ones that they can help boost toward fame. And from the looks of it, both this man and woman are hungry for fame, as is the unknown rider, as is every other performer who willingly paid the enormously large entrance fee for the small privilege of standing on Hollywood Boulevard today, in front of ordinary people who just so happen to have the potential to collectively change each of their lives forever. The unknown rider sets the wooden crate down and takes everything out. He puts the microphone stand together, he plugs the microphone into the speaker and sets the speaker off to the side. He turns his wooden crate upside down and sets it behind the microphone stand to make for him a little stage. Lastly, he takes the copies of his book, spreads them out in front of the wooden crate, and places in front of them a sign that says in big bold letters, "Free." To his left, the older man is practicing tricks with his dog. To his right, the woman is practicing some posts in which her breasts are highlighted, as well as her ass. For a moment, the unknown rider is distracted by the dog and the breasts and the ass. He looks around and sees many more reasons to be distracted, and for quite some time, he gives in to those distractions. All of them. He steps out of his booth and moves down the street, toward the gate, looking here and there. Then suddenly, something snaps in his mind. The festival. It is about to begin. So he runs back to his booth and rehearses his act like those around him. He takes the manuscript and opens it to the first page and reads. In an infinite universe is a maddening galaxy. On the edge of that galaxy is a chaotic planet. On the edge of that planet is a busy city. On the edge of that city is a messy studio apartment. On the edge of that apartment is a cluttered bedside table. On the edge of that table is an alarm. At 5:13 a.m., that alarm... But that is as far as he gets into his rehearsal before the bells begin to chime up and down Hollywood Boulevard, indicating to the performers inside that the gate is about to open and soon hundreds of thousands of people will be running up and down in hopes of being entertained. At the sound of these chiming bells, the unknown rider stands. He steps onto the crate and finds his balance. He adjusts the mic so that it is level with his lips. He clears his throat. He stands with the best posture he can muster, his chest out, his shoulders back, and he waits for the visitors to come, for he knows that they will. He hopes that they will. He tells himself that they will. He prays that they... Nearest to the entrance are bands playing their greatest hits, actors portraying their most popular characters, comedians telling their best jokes, athletes completing unbelievable play after unbelievable play, panels interviewing celebrities, podcast hosts passionately dissecting the most gruesome recordings of human villainy, news anchors ruthlessly ranting about society's most significant issues, the greatest chefs from the greatest restaurants giving step-by-step instructions on how to cook the perfect scrambled eggs, bodybuilders revealing how a six-pack can be achieved with just a 5-minute workout, models strutting around in the sexiest of clothes, politicians screaming about... And as a result, it takes quite a while for the attendees to finally make their way to the vicinity of booth number 43,222, inside which the unknown writer has already begun to read from his manuscript. The closer an attendee gets to his booth, the more passionate he gets with his reading, the more theatrical he becomes. He moves his arms flamboyantly. He stomps his feet. He bangs his chest. He mimics the actions of his characters. This is not his first festival. He has been attending shows like these for over 10 years, ever since he graduated from college and decided to become a writer, a real writer. And always he brings with him the same passion, the same enthusiasm, the same desire to entertain. The only things that have changed over the years are the words that he reads. The booth to his left, the one that holds the old man and his dog, is the first of the nearby stands to get a visitor. "Sit, Shiloh," says the man, and the dog sits. "Stand, Shiloh," says the man, and the dog stands. "Dance, Shiloh," says the man, and the dog taps his feet, twirls in circles, bows, sways his hips, cha-cha-chas. Even the unknown writer stops his reading to look at the dog. Quickly the crowd grows larger around his booth, people pointing and smiling, taking pictures, adding money to the jar out front. The unknown writer sees this as an opportunity. He looks back at his manuscript and returns to his reading. He raises his voice. He intensifies his bodily movements. He exaggerates his emotions. He pours his heart and soul even more intensely into the performance. "There is no beginning," he says. "There is no middle, and there is no ending. There is only now, forever, eternity, everything and nothing. There is no life, and there is no death. There are just atoms, stars imploding, forming rocks that eventually become planets. Planets where molecules collide and combine. Water, dirt, heart, lungs, a soul ascended to the skin and bones. And it is all happening at once." After several minutes of what the unknown writer calls high-intensity reading, a part of the audience in front of the dog's booth moves to the right. With this movement, the unknown writer feels his heart begin to race, inspiring his intensity to rise to the next level. But these migrants do not stop at his booth. Instead, they move one booth further, to the big-bosomed woman who eagerly greets them with a shaking of her breasts in the form of a dance, a move the viewers very much enjoy. Even the unknown writer finds himself smiling at the sight. The unknown writer finishes the third reading of his manuscript just as the sun begins to set. He looks up from his pages and out at Hollywood Boulevard. The streets are still crowded with people, but no one is there to see him. He steps off the crate and turns it right side up. He places the manuscript inside. He takes the microphone stand and deconstructs it and places it in the crate, along with the speaker. He grabs the copies of his book, which remain entirely untouched, and puts them in the crate, along with the sign that reads free. Carrying the crate against his side, the unknown writer makes his way through Hollywood Boulevard, toward the exit. He stops at some booths and looks inside. He listens to some songs, watches some dances, and listens to a few jokes. Eventually he reaches the gate at the start of Hollywood Boulevard, and out he walks, back to his car, which he will drive to tomorrow's festival in San Francisco, where he will do this again and again and again, 1,000,000 times over again, until he finally earns himself a name, some fans, and a little bit of fame.